Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Metal Gear Survive. I played it on the Xbox One, it's also available on the PS4 and I think PC. So because it is Metal Gear, obviously the hat, because the iconic sound is still in the game. Okay, so let's just start out with the controversies around this. Konami making a Metal Gear game without Hideo Kojima, who is literally the father of the Metal Gear franchise. He started the franchise way back when. We all know about Konami and Hideo Kojima's messy breakup. And I know a lot of people have really negative feelings towards Konami and this game. That being said, what this is a zombie survival game, and quite frankly, Kojima isn't really necessary to it. I figure we can just move on because, let's face it, the only reason they did this was a business decision. A bad business decision because, I mean, how did they not expect to get negative backlash? They were hoping for name recognition and hoping that would translate to sales. Now that I've covered that, let's get on to the story. And the story goes, you are a member of the Diamond Dogs. Well, and some crazy shit went down. Like right after Big Boss escapes the sinking oil rig, basically a giant wormhole opens up and people and things get sucked through. Which that doesn't immediately get you to Dite, but it eventually gets you to Dite, which is this weird, like, alternate world where these pseudo-zombies exist, and, well, basically, you need to get back home, you need to deal with some shit there, you meet some characters along the way to help you out. Kind of normal stuff. The story isn't really the big draw to this game. So as for the audio's okay. This shit is not on par with previous Metal Gear games, but since this is a spin-off, that's not that surprising. It's not all the audio that's not on par. Most of the audio, the music, the sound effects, that is all very well done. That is all very well done. So that is not what I'm talking about. The voiceover work, on the other hand, some of that shit is not good. As for the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, this is a zombie survival game, so that's nothing new. We've seen plenty of that out there. What I liked was that this was an easier one to jump into than a lot of the other, like, survival zombie games out there, or just survival games in general. I also like the third-person aspect of it. But that being said, that's what it is. You have an area, you build it as a base, you customize guns, you create bows and arrows, spears, etc. You also do have to manage food and water, and early on in this game, that part sucks immensely. Like, the first 2 or 3 hours of this game were a pretty big struggle for me, but the further I got, the more I was able to develop my base, the less of a problem it became. Also, co-op was meant to be a big part of this game. I did a little bit, and I didn't really love it, mostly because if you can't fully communicate with everybody, which can be difficult to do, it can be a pain in the ass. If you get some competent people, it's not so bad. But that does also lead to one complaint with the game, is that it's an always online game. So at one point the servers went down and I couldn't play for a while right in the middle of a mission, and I lost all the progress and shit. One thing that I found also very annoying was the sleeping system doesn't progress any resource gathering that's going on while your character's asleep. So that's annoying. But you can run around, do all sorts of missions, gather materials, and you can actually get side missions from individuals in your base, and that's cool, but that is also one of the things that regularly pissed me off. Because I'd be at my base and I'd see somebody has an objective for me and they're like 50 feet away, but in the time it took me to cover that 50 feet, they would no longer be offering that quest. That's fucking stupid. Oh my god, so annoying. You get within 10 feet of them and the symbol just vanishes. That being said, I did enjoy the way this game works. Like I said, it's not as complex as some of the other ones out there, so it's a little easier to get into, and I enjoyed that. It's less daunting to get into it. As for the controls, I actually really enjoyed the controls in this game. I think they work very well. I never had a problem at any point in time with the controls. I never had anything go down where I was like, what the fuck is this? Why is this not doing what I want it to, etc. As for the graphics, I think it's a good looking game as well. It's not the best looking game. Like, the cinematics are not as impressive as something like Metal Gear Solid 5, we'll say. It's not quite as good as that, and it definitely looks like they reused some of the resources, but just made it into their own little way. But I do like the way this game looks, and I do like the overall visual style. I like the way they did their version of zombies. And one thing that I will say is really impressive, I love the lighting in this game. The way it's coming over like hills and mesas at times, creating dark areas and lit areas, that's really cool. So time to hit my last few gripes, which unfortunately there are some more. Firstly, you pick a voice for your character, but your character has like 0 dialogue in the game, so it's kind of stupid to pick a voice. It's kind of annoying that there is no dialogue for your character. But a much bigger gripe, and I know people are really gonna latch on to this one, there are microtransactions, and these are the most bullshit microtransactions I've ever seen. $10 to buy an extra character slot so you can create a second character. Otherwise, you only get one character. That is admittedly bullshit. I will say it's kind of offset by the fact that this is only a $40 game, so it's not a full price title, but having to pay extra to create a second character, that's not okay. That's messed up. You also have to pay extra to create a secondary expedition force. Again, that's messed up. That stuff should be in the fucking game for free. So admittedly, I did have gripes, and the microtransaction thing is bullshit and messed up, but it didn't affect the game so massively for me that I would say not play it. I actually really enjoyed this game and really sunk a lot of time into it. I really enjoyed it. Which I've got to admit, I was surprised and skeptical about, but I'm glad I played it. I know a lot of people have probably already made up their minds, and a lot of people are just going to be like, boycott this game because it's Metal Gear without Kojima, but in reality, I had a lot of fun, and I would honestly recommend it. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you tell me what your favorite Metal Gear Solid game is? And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.